Hello. What follows is a 6-part first-person recounting of the life of Tom Acker. Father Tom, at the time of this video, was 92, and the video was made in May of 2022. His life is a fascinating journey through several countries, including Nepal. Along the way, Father Tom Acker of the Society of Jesus has been president of 2 universities. He is a scientist with a doctorate in biology from Stanford University. He has been consulted by the highest levels of 2 governments. His outlook, competence, and attitude toward his tasks have earned him a lot of love and respect by many of the people who he's come in contact with. At every turn, though, from the earliest age, as you'll see, he has been the problem child for many of his superiors. When we met, he was serving as a parish priest and busy saving a failing parish school, which he then revived and caused it to blossom where it had been on its last gasp. Toward the end of these videos, he calls me his friend. I am very proud of that designation. I should mention I'm not Catholic. My work involving sound and video systems brought me into contact with hundreds of pastors and priests and some imams and rabbis. I have met some outstanding people who have taken up the work that they see God has called them to, and Father Tom is such a person. Please enjoy with me the story of Father Tom Acker of the Jesuits. Welcome back. We're discussing the period in Father Tom's life when he just became the president of Wheeling Jesuit University.
Steve, thank you. Right now, we're still Wheeling, Wheeling University. And I spent 18 years there. I had to develop a plan, and the plan, almost like the plan in Nepal, was made up of 3 points. The one is you've got to make the place attractive to students and conducive for teaching. Point number 1. Point number 2, this will bring in more students. Point number 3, once more students come in, we will have the facilities and the money to raise salaries and make everything grow. And that was the plan. And we started that way. Well, the first thing I felt we needed to do was to show that something can be done. Because everyone felt, he's here to close the place. Well, the best way to show you're not closing the place is build, and inquired to see what we needed most of all. And this is where I learned another great lesson. Everyone voted for all different types of things. And for some reason, I said, I want a chapel. I want a chapel. I think I can get the money for a chapel, but all these other things are much more expensive. So I went after the chapel, and everyone said, you're crazy. And I said, well, I went and I asked a family by the name of McDonough's, and they said, we're going to give you $1 million to build the chapel. And so we built the chapel. And did I learn? Seek first the things of the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be added. I didn't believe it. I saw it happen. That's literally what happened. Because once we built that chapel...
So you were taught, in reality, in the current day, that Bible verse. And
I was taught that. I knew the Bible verse as a Jesuit, but somehow I didn't believe it, in the sense that I now saw it happen. We built that chapel, and from then on, everything started coming in, one thing after another. We changed the whole look of the campus with that. It was right in the center of the campus. And then Harry Ham said to me, there's one man you've got to meet. Who's that man? I said, he said, that's Senator Robert C. Byrd, who was the appropriations chairman for the whole United States. You've got to meet him. And so I started looking for an opportunity to meet him. I said, you know what I want? To get more students, let's bring the ROTC here to Wheeling Jesuit, or Wheeling at that point. And I tried, and they said, no, we can't come. And so I called Senator Byrd, and Senator Byrd said, come to Washington, will you? And let's meet. And so I met with Senator Byrd. And that was the most funny thing, Steve, I saw. He had two people from the Pentagon there. I sat here. Terry Sylvain, who was the appropriations officer there, and Senator Byrd sat there. And he said, tell the colonels what you want. And I said, I need the ROTC. And they said, we don't think we can do that for you. And I said, I didn't give in. I said, I think you ought to, though. West Virginia has always been a great thing supporting the military. And so back and forth we went. And then Senator Byrd looked and said, gentlemen, I have to go in a few minutes. May I say a few words? And of course, everyone shut up. And he said, Colonels, I think you ought to listen to what Father Acker has to say. I think he's made some very important points. Now let me tell you the things I've just done for the Army through the appropriations process. And he started listing all the things he's done for the appropriation process. And I sat there, I didn't know what's going on. And he said, gentlemen, I have to leave. And he left. We shook hands with the colonel, and I looked at Terry Sylvain, who was the appropriations officer, and I said, Terry, what's that all about? He said, Father, go on home, would you, and wait. I went home. 2 days later, I got a call from the general who heads up all the ROTC programs and said, Father, I think we can give you the ROTC. And I said, I called Terry Sylvain after that. I said, Terry, I think I used stronger language than that. Is that the way it works? He said, yes, Father, that's the way it works. And from then on, Senator Byrd became my friend. Terry said to me, he loved you, that you didn't cave in, you fought back. And from then on, everything started happening. And he appropriated many different things for Wheeling. We built, during my time there, 8 new buildings. We renovated 8 more. And all of this happens through, I think, that chapel. We call it the Chapel of Mary and Joseph. What two great people to name it after, Mary and Joseph. And there's many stories I could tell about that, but one thing after another, everything started coming in. We built new buildings. We renovated the old buildings. The student numbers went up. They went up to 1,500 to 1,600. All the programs were going well. And I was there for 18 years, and everything was going well. And then all of a sudden you learn something. Change takes place. What happened? All of a sudden, I got a message from the provincial of the Jesuit order in Maryland and said, I want you to leave the university. Why? You're too old. I was then 72. I said, why? Senator Byrd said, why? Everything is going so well. I said, Senator Byrd, I don't know. But that wasn't the real reason. It's not that I'm too old. Look, I'm 92 now. I've been working 20 years since then. No, there was something else underneath. Something else underneath. And I don't think it's worthwhile talking about that which is underneath. It had nothing to do with me. It had to do with how decisions are made by people that get into authority. And I think they make decisions based on bad motivation. And so Senator Byrd said, well, I don't understand this at all. But let me tell you something this. I'd like you to come down and work with me in southern West Virginia. If they won't keep you up there, work in southern West Virginia with me. And I had an obligation to Senator Byrd. All the things that he had done, he had put in millions into Wheeling, which had become Wheeling College, or Wheeling Jesuit College, and then Wheeling Jesuit University. And he said, please come and work with me in southern West Virginia. Well, the provincial didn't know what to do with that one, because he said, I want you out of my province, which is West Virginia area. And Senator Byrd made it clear, I want Acker down there. And I made a promise to Senator Byrd. I said, Senator, you are my friend. You are my friend. I will try to stay working with you as long as you remain the senator from West Virginia. He said, that's the kind of loyalty I love. And one thing I did learn from this, I learned this, that two things. Change comes suddenly. Sometimes it's not what you expect, and sometimes it's disastrous. But it comes, and you have to learn to adjust. The second thing I learned is it's people in your lives that make the difference. Senator Byrd, Harry Ham, Don Hoffreiter, the McDonough family, all these people that supported Wheeling, they became your friends. The most important thing in life are your friends. Stick with your friends. They'll stick with you. If they depart from you, they're not friends. If they stick with you, they're friends. And so my life has been based on friendships. In Nepal, the friends I had there, never lost them. Barbara Haven is still a friend in the Peace Corps, and she worked with me. But friendship is it. The only reason I'm here today is because of our friendship.
Well, and
the only reason.
Yes, and it's a valuable friendship for me.
Yeah,
well,
it's valuable for all of us. So I went down to southern West Virginia, and that's the poorest part of West Virginia. And Senator Byrd said, let's see what we can do down here. I lived apart from the Jesuit order. I'm still a Jesuit, but I didn't have to worry about them any longer. I was living on my own. Took a little house of 4 rooms back in the backwoods. And but I met there Bob Kiss, who became Bob Kiss was the second in line to the governorship. You got the governor, and then you got the head of the Senate, and then the head of the kind of the representatives, as it were. And Bob Kiss was that. And he was a wonderful guy, a lawyer. And he came to me and he said, you know what we need in Beckley? Beckley is in one sense, so it's all the part down there. And you had all these various colleges, Concord College, Bluefield State College, Marshall College, New River Community College, New River College, and they all had little storefronts. And he said, why can't we put them all together on one campus? And I said, well, let's see if we can do that. Why don't you take over that as your job? See if you can find a campus. So I went and started asking, and I got a place to offer us about 50 acres of land right off of I-64. And then Senator Byrd said, I'll support it. And so we appropriated some more money for us, and we started the Irma Byrd Educational Facility. I named it after Irma Byrd, his dear wife.
So this was in Beckley.
This is in Beckley.
And I know that all universities have traditions and interests, and getting that is probably like herding cats to get them to all go one direction.
No, yes, it is. Tigers. It's herding tigers. You had all these presidents, the presidents of Marshall, the president of New River, the president of Concord, of Bluefield State. And how do you get them to say, give up your storefront and we'll make one campus for everyone? It took me really 10 years to develop that. From 2000, when I left Wheeling, after 18 years, 2000, till about 2010. And the appropriations came, and we built it, but not without a struggle. The lions roar, man, do they roar. But God blessed us. He really did. And I can still remember the dedication of that facility. Senator Byrd was so happy. His wife had died, and he came into the atrium of that building, and there was the big thing, Irma Byrd Center. And he made the speech, and tears are rolling down his eyes. Tears are just rolling down his eyes. He loved his wife. What a faithful man to a wonderful woman, Irma. She was a lady. She was a queen with grace. And she and I were very close. When I used to visit her at her home, the two of them at their home, when she was lying on her deathbed, he took me up there and said, "Say a prayer over her, will you? Say a prayer." We knew it was not going to last. And but that friendship with Senator Byrd was so very, very important to me. It really was. I had a call from the Bishop of New Orleans one day and said, the presidency of Loyola University in New Orleans is open, and I can get you that job. I can get you that job. I said, "Bishop, I can't accept it. I can't take it. I promised Senator Byrd I would stay as down here working with him as long as he is the head, as long as he is the senator from West Virginia." And I said, "I made my commitment, and I will keep my commitment."
So, what was your title in this job?
My title in this job it kept changing. I was the chairman, or I was the head of. I was the head of it. I was the head of Forward Southern West Virginia. That's the money came through Forward Southern West Virginia, 501c3, so it would take money. But during that time, I also worked for Future Generations, another small organization that was doing worldwide work. And the head of that asked me if I would take on and become the dean of Future Generations because they needed a dean with credentials. And I had the credentials of the doctorate from Stanford. I had the credentials of being a president. And so I took on that job, and Future Generations is still going, a wonderful job, a wonderful thing he did. I only kept it for a short while. But that was my work down in Southern West Virginia. You can still see the wonderful campus. The community college then built another building along with it, and that's got all the higher education that is associated together there in that center. So it worked very well. And I'm very proud of that. It worked well. They named a road after me, and I said, "Please don't. Take the name off of it." And so they took the name off, and they call it University Drive to get in. I didn't want my name on anything. I wanted the University Drive. It fits that place because it houses Marshall University, Concord University, or whatever they call it now, and so on. So,
the only institution that you mentioned that I'm familiar with is Marshall, very well known because of their football team and their fierce loyalty to all their athletics. What would be roughly the total enrollment of these schools together? Just
wow.
I think 5,000, 10,000?
Steve, I don't know. The Concord would be a small one. Blue River would be a small one. Another small one would be the community college. I don't know what Marshall is.
I think roughly 2,200 or 2,500, something like that.
Yeah, probably the others had maybe 1,000 apiece or 1,500 apiece.
Okay.
And but they got them all together, and so now people, and they share courses. One will teach the science, another will teach the business and stuff like that. So it's really a cooperative affair. It's working quite nicely.
It's always been one of my pet ideas that if you took the public schools, public universities in Northeast Ohio, Akron, Kent, and Youngstown, which are all very physically close together. Akron and Kent are only 11 miles apart. If you integrated those into one university structure, it could be so much more efficient, and you could have one English department and one law school and so forth. It would be, create a three-campus large university. But I doubt that I'll live long enough to see that.
Well, it might come about. I'll tell you why. Because the small colleges are going out of business. And this one now, the Higher Education Authority of West Virginia took over this whole campus more recently, and they're making it work. Concord's still in there. Bluefield State College is still in there. But it's working. So, and you see it as you go by I-64 going east. There is that great big campus there. It looks very nice.
Yes.
And I like it very much. But then Senator Byrd dies, of course. And with that, my commitment to Senator Byrd has been fulfilled. But I say again, it's the people that you meet in your life that make the difference in your life.
Well, I think this might be a good place for us to pause and make a segment for the next part. And so we're going to take a little break now, and we'll be back.